Jamaica, baby, they made me to be the greatest. Serving the deed of my creators. Fresh off of my high haters. It's the king again. Magdalene, chauffeured, bragging and boasting.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Dollars. Welcome back to the channel. It's another day, keep saying another day. It's another late night reaction. This time we got the story of Drake being robbed in 2009. I think I've heard of this situation. This is from Mind Soul 6, a very popular YouTube channel. Got a bunch of great videos, so I advise you guys check him out. Subscribe to him. Always got some heat. But yeah, I believe this happened when he was on tour and they robbed him in a tour bus. He mentioned this shit too in one of his songs. Yeah, I think he was where was he? Louisiana or Atlanta? Basically, Drake got robbed. I don't know if it ever happened again, if it was another incident after this, but I think this was the only time. All right, so let's check this out. I'm very interested to see this video.
So we all know Aubrey Graham, Drake, especially if you're from Toronto. It's become a household name at this point. He's one of the most well-known rappers in the world, and also one of the wealthiest. With that amount of money and fame, he attracted...
He just said he's one of the most well-known rappers in the world. Do you think? Not one of the most well-known, he is the most popular rapper in the world right now. Ain't nobody bigger than Drake in the game, man. It is what it is. You know, I remember when there was the Jay-Z Drake comparisons, and I mean, listen, Jay-Z has solidified his legacy. Like, ain't nothing that Drake could do that would tarnish Jay-Z's legacy. You know, Wayne was still one of the greatest also lyrically, you know, but the thing is, Drake is like an icon. He's a pop star. He's like Michael Jackson, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's like levels, you know, so yeah, it is what it is, man. You feel how you want to feel. I'm just calling it what it is. Honestly, though, I do blame Drake, though, for the music industry being where it is now. Because Drake was the first one coming in rapping and singing. And then that shit just set a trend for everybody. They was like, it's okay to sing and rap now? Everybody's doing it now, you know? But the difference is Drake is a lyricist, too. You know, he prides himself on having bars and verses like quotables. So, you know, if y'all want to copy that style, then at least have the bars too.
Attention from all sorts of people, and some of them have malicious intent. So as a celebrity, it's natural that you end up hiring a security team to protect you. When it comes to Drake, well, he's basically untouchable. He walks around with a squadron of top-tier meatheads who are known to be rough with people and overstep boundaries. One of his
Drake has that Illuminati security right now, bro. You're not getting near him.
His bodyguards was even the subject of a YouTube video where someone was pointing out how terrifyingly huge this guy was. Now when Drake travels by car, it's with a convoy of black SUVs, filled with bodyguards dedicated enough to step into traffic and block cars so his entourage can merge. Basically, these days, you won't catch Drake without a small army of defendants, especially in his home city. For added protection in Toronto, he's even connected with local gangs like Reps Up and G-Way Boys, giving him not only a sense of safety within the city, but also some type of street credibility. This made Drake more comfortable in Toronto, comfortable enough to build a luxurious mega mansion in Bridle's Path. But this is the current.
I ain't gonna lie, bro, that mansion that he built, son, that shit was amazing, bro. That's the best house as far as rappers, bro. He built it from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? They was doing construction on him. That's his house that he built from the ground up. That shit is awesome, bro. Like, it's like a dream come true. That's like Richie Rich, bro. Remember the movie Richie Rich as a kid, bro? That was like, I loved that movie as a kid. That was my dream. Nigga had a McDonald's in his house, bro.
Drake. He wasn't always the sheltered, established rapper that we see today. In the early years of Drake's career, he's what you would call green behind the ears, and he didn't think that private security was needed while in his home city. This was surprising.
Come on, bro. He has a video with Joe Budden. That's an old ass video when Joe Budden had his little YouTube channel shit. He was chilling in the hood, bro, in New York, Times Square, I believe, or somewhere in Manhattan, just chilling on the street. Imagine back then you see Drake just chilling on the street with Joe Budden, and look at Drake now. That's crazy, bro. You won't see him just chilling like that now.
considering he made a comment to New York Times around then, telling a reporter that he felt unsafe in Toronto at all times. His inexperience as a celebrity would eventually lead him to being robbed. And I don't mean the multi-million-dollar jewelry heist of his tour bus in 2016. That happened in Phoenix. I'm talking about the armed robbery at gunpoint that went down over a
$3 million to
decade
Drake
ago
is like
in the city
$30,
which
bro.
Drake calls home. This
To him.
event occurred in the evening of May 31st, 2009. Then 23-year-old Drake was having dinner at a restaurant in Toronto's Little Italy, located at the
Toronto.
corner of College and Beatrice Street. He was on a date with a woman who was named Chantel Brown. After enjoying their meal and a night out, the two left the restaurant and walked to an SUV that was parked across the street. Drake got into his car, and moments later, two armed men suddenly approached the vehicle with guns drawn and started banging them on the window. Drake opened the door, and they then aimed their weapons at his face, demanding that he gave up his jewelry and anything else he had. Without much choices, Drake handed over his diamond gold chain, which rapper Lil Wayne had recently gifted to him, along with an expensive Audemars watch.
Listen, guys, don't worry about losing material things, bro. Your life is more important. A lot of people want to be gangster to the end, like, I ain't giving it up. Listen, if you got to give it up, give that shit up. You could get that shit again. You know what I'm saying? It's just the pride thing of like letting somebody take something from you that you work hard for. Like, I could understand this. Sometimes I feel like, yo, I ain't giving up. There's certain things I'm not giving up. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But come on, man. If you rich like that and you're a rapper, you could always buy something else. And it's crazy that, you know, it could have been worse. Thank God they ain't decide to like, yo, do something stupid and hurt him. You know, they robbed him and let him go, like as they should. They should not have touched him. You know, like there's even rumors with the Pop Smoke situation when them dudes that ran up in the crib. I know they got locked up. I've seen videos about it. You know, he got caught slipping with the Instagram shit, but supposedly Pop Smoke had a gun on him and he shot back at the intruders. You know, like he ain't go out like a sucker, but at the same time, you know, if they just would have robbed the shit, you know, Pop would have still been alive. I said Pop, not Pac. Pop still would have been alive. You know, maybe, who knows? Maybe that shit still would have happened, but he had the gun on him and he let off too, so, you know, it could have been a whole different story, man.
Watch and $2,000 in US cash. The woman Chantel was sitting in the passenger seat at this point, but before the suspects could make their way to her, a man that was exiting the same restaurant, named Nicholas Carino, noticed the robbery and yelled at the gunman to get the F back. Apparently spooked, the two suspects quickly jumped into a nearby getaway car
Who the
with
fuck
the
was
stolen
that?
goods. The car then sped southbound down Beatrice Street, but it wouldn't get too far. A short time later, the same car was stopped by police for driving the wrong way down a one-way street. Once stopped, two people jumped out of the vehicle and began running in an attempt to escape. One person still remained in the car, the driver, and he managed to speed off. After a brief foot chase with police, one of the running suspects was apprehended. The driver of the getaway car was eventually tracked down and also arrested, but the second suspect who escaped on foot was never caught and ultimately got away. The two who were caught, though, were identified as Paul Letatui and Socrates Cotterwell, ages unknown. They were both charged with armed robbery, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, 3 counts of pointing a firearm, and possession of stolen property. As far as the items that were robbed from Drake, the police managed to recover the chain, the watch, and about $1,330, but they never found the guns that were allegedly used in the crime, which ended up being detrimental to the case. Now this is when some controversy begins. It's claimed that Drake himself was the one who pressed charges on the men and provided a statement to the police of exactly what happened. This rumor came to light after an online post by a fellow Toronto rapper named Big Page, who was one of the first people to call out Drake for allegedly being a snitch. Big Page actually collaborated with Drake just a few weeks.
Can you really consider him like a snitch for pressing charges, bro? Drake at that time, he ain't have no street credibility. He wasn't rapping like he's rapping now. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't talking spicy the way, you know, what's that shit, Mob Ties? That wasn't Mob Ties Drake. That was Degrassi Drake back then. You know, Drake is not a street dude, bro. No matter how many people he surround himself from the street, he is not from that. You know, and that's just what it is. It's facts. So we can't look at him and say, oh, look at him funny for that. You know, like that's not even an issue. But you know, if he does something like that now and you got goons around you, then yeah, we look at you funny.
Weeks before the robbery on a track called I'm Still Fly, which racked in over 2 million views on YouTube.
Featuring
so
Drake.
These allegations came as a surprise, since they were apparently friends. Big Page posted a picture on his Twitter account of a court document which showed Drake's legal name,
Your
Aubrey
man was
Graham,
doing that for the
as
clout.
well as the names of the suspects in the case. This document was supposedly proof that Drake pressed charges against the men in relation to the armed robbery. Aside from calling him a snitch, Big Page also claims that Drake used to ask him for money loans and also asked to borrow his chain, along with a few other disrespectful.
You know, I hate when people come out the blue and start throwing dirt on your name. He used to borrow my Jordans. He used to borrow my snapbacks. When you finally blow and you make money, and I could buy 100 snapbacks. I could buy 100 chains, fam. Like, people always try to throw salt or throw dirt on your name once you actually achieve something, man. Like, shit is corny, bro. Like, so what? He used to borrow your chains. Now what? You know how much he's worth right now, bro? Like, that's pocket change to him.
Tweets. But Big Page admit that there was some tension between the two, even before the robbery, stemming from some issues about the song they released together. So his posts could have had the motive of staining Drake's reputation. And some people believe Drake simply told police what occurred during the robbery and didn't really give specific details on who it was. Obviously, Drake denied all the allegations thrown at him by Big Page and any others, claiming the outcome of the trial proved he didn't snitch. A lawyer that was close to the case claimed that Drake was not exactly forthcoming with police, and at some point, he actually stopped cooperating. From there, things went downhill, as far as getting charges to stick against the two men. The big charges were leaning on the statements and testimonies of the victim, Drake, and without him, there really wasn't much to go off of. The witness at the scene, Nicholas, who yelled at the perps and was also listed on the document, didn't seem to provide a strong enough statement to have an effect in court. And there's no information if Chantal, the passenger, was even involved in court or any part of the legal fallout. Overall, it looks like Drake analyzed the situation from a business perspective and decided that working with authorities wasn't the best move for his rap career. This decision to follow the street code of no snitching worked out well in the long run for the accused men. By January 2010, about half a year after the arrest, the heaviest charges against the two were withdrawn, although they both pled guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery and possession of stolen property. The judge sentenced them.
One thing I would say, mine's so 6. If you ever see my video, please stop putting so much music in the background. It's like, it's distracting.
The time served plus 1 day, and they're released in the same month.
Or lower
Altogether,
it a little bit.
the pair ended up spending just over 6 months in jail. According to another lawyer in the process, Socrates was the alleged gunman, and Paul was the driver. The second
don't
gunman,
sound like
the
black
one who got
people
away on
too.
foot,
They sound
was
like they
apparently
were
identified by name
Greek
at
or
some point,
something.
but was never arrested in relation to the incident.
Socrates.
So years would go by, and Drake briefly reflected on what happened in various interviews, one of them being with BBC One Extra. On this radio show, Drake talks about the aftermath of the trial and says that he's the one who made the decision to have them not put in jail, and ultimately, it was his choice to have the charges withdrawn.
That happened to me in Toronto, an altercation that had happened, and the way I chose to deal with it was walk away from it. I had a situation happen to me where I was approached by two men and robbed, and I made the decision to not put those guys away, to not go to trial.
As to whether or not he actually snitched at some point, well, there's no public record that proves he did. The only remote evidence there is the paperwork that Big Page posted, and it really only states that Drake was the victim of a crime committed by the accused individuals, and not much else. So the idea of him being a snitch
not really a
is still up
statement.
for debate until actual solid proof comes to the surface. There's also the question of how exactly he ended up being robbed, and how the suspects.
How's he even? Why he keeps saying snitch, bro? He was a victim of a crime that he didn't have nothing to do with. Snitching is when you're involved in criminal activity, you get arrested, and then you throw everybody else under the bus like 6ix9ine. You know what I'm saying? That's snitching. Or like if you know somebody's selling drugs and you call the cops on them, that's snitching. But if you're not a street person and somebody does a crime against you, and let's say you work with the cops, I don't consider that snitching because you're not a street person. Drake wasn't a street person. He was just a rapper. He wasn't, that's how I look at it. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
knew where he was. While in another interview, Drake claims that he's sure the robbery was orchestrated by his date that night, Chantel. Not only
I was just about to say that, yo, what if she had something to do with that robbery? She probably set that whole shit up, bro. She foul for that. These chicks, man, you gotta watch these chicks.
does he mention it in interviews, but he also brings it up in his track, The Resistance, rapping about how he was part of a stick-up, and a girl he thought he trusted set the whole thing up. He also believes it was a planned setup, because his chain was hidden under his hoodie and jacket the whole time, yet during the robbery, the gunman specifically asked for it. Drake claimed another sign was the fact that Chantel's purse was left untouched during the entire robbery, hinting that
Bro, if there's a robbery going on, you're gonna rob everything. You're not just gonna rob one person. You're gonna rob the female too. So I thought that was already funny. I just didn't mention that. I thought that whole situation was funny too when they first brought it up. Like, yo, they didn't take her bag. They didn't rob her. And I felt like she was involved. But yeah, I forgot when Drake actually mentioned that song on The Resistance on his first album. He mentions that shit.
she may have had something to do with it. It's not known if anything happened to her afterwards, but I'm guessing that her and Drake no longer see each other. That brings us to the final question. Who were these people that robbed Drake? Their names are known to the public, but still, there isn't much information about them online. After researching both of the men, Paul Lettertweet and Socrates Cotterell, I wasn't able to come up with anything, not even their age. I was curious if the men were part of any gangs, or if they were possibly connected to Chantel Brown. My investigation came up short. They're basically ghosts on the internet. On the Torontology Reddit, there was a thread suggesting that the third suspect who got away was actually the now deceased rapper Sizzlack, but of course this is just a rumor, or as this user calls it, a hood legend story. A few others replied on the thread, saying it was actually someone from Bleecker Street, but again, it's just hearsay. In the end though, it at least looks like Drake pulled something positive out of the situation, and treated it as a life lesson. He made a reference to it as recently as May of this year, on his track From Florida with Love. He talks about how the robbery made him realize that there's no point in talking tough, and said that nothing like that has happened since that day. He also claims that now, he never touches the road without a plug, which we can assume means a weapon or security. In an older interview with MTV, Drake said that after what happened, he vowed to steer clear of the negative energy that sometimes surrounds the rap world. With his recent experience, along with even more notoriety, he realized it was time to invest in security and protection. So we're now brought to the present day again. As Drake boasts about in his song, he hasn't really been the victim of any armed robberies or similar crimes since. Nowadays, anywhere Drake goes in the world, he has an expensive fleet of security with him. And when he's in Toronto, he not only has his hired professional security, but he's also backed by a few gangs in the city too. He came to realize that just because he's from Toronto, doesn't mean everybody in the city is going to be a fan, and some might see him as a target. But to get to Drake for a handshake seems like it would be mission impossible.
I mean, especially with what's going on now, dudes is wildin'. You know, there's always gonna be a dummy that feels like they're gonna get some type of points. Like, you won't get no points for doing something to Drake, bro. Like, he put your city on the map, no matter how you guys feel about it. You know what I'm saying? And he's arguably the biggest rapper, artist, entertainer in the industry right now. You know, like, he should be untouchable. And it's funny because we had you know, there was some comments in the comments section not too long ago. Somebody said something about that, you know, and we talked about it, and now this video comes out.
Let alone to be able to rob him or try to harm him. Drake has become basically untouchable, and as a globally known celebrity, that's how it should be. If you have the money for
Nobody's
security,
untouchable though, bro. Nobody's untouchable though. Just because he's good right now, it's like nobody really wants to try Drake. But if a president could get it, anybody could get it. Just remember that. All right, man. Yeah, this was an interesting joint. I thought this was something different though. I didn't know this was the story of him with the girlfriend, because I thought it was a whole completely different situation. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think about this in the comment section. If you're new, drop a like, comment, subscribe. If you fuck with the channel, drop a money bag emoji. It's your boy Dollars. I holla.